came built in. If I really wanted more storage, I could get saddlebags. Um, some of them do have that top box that you can get on like the back seat where the back seat goes. You can get a box that's kind of sits there like a passenger. I've looked into that, especially on like the off-road bikes. You might have that where it'll sit a little bit higher, or maybe you'll have a luggage rack on the back where you can tie something down to. I've seen those on scooters too. If you got to like tie down something relatively small, about the size of a helmet or a backpack, maybe, give you something to bungee to, or not necessarily. The one that I had wasn't super robust, so I don't really know about, ratcheting to it, but I guess you could put a small ratchet on there without tearing anything up. Um, one thing too is I always like loved the idea of scooters, but one thing that I have found is that in the real world, using them, they've seemed to always be less practical than a motorcycle. And that was mostly due to the fact that, again, the displacement, having, even a second person on there with you or carrying a little bit extra weight, you really feel the drag on a scooter. Whereas if you got just a little bit of extra, because I know even the difference for me going between like a 125 scooter and a 250 motorcycle, they're both relatively small bikes, but one thing about them is even though they're both small bikes, technically I guess a motorcycle is twice the displacement, but that little bit of extra, that extra 125 cc's on that motorcycle, it just felt so much more not necessarily stable at speed, but stable maintaining a speed, so like if I wanted to go 45 miles an hour on the scooter, there was times where I was like on the 125 where I'm up there open on the throttle all the way, and you're going up a slight incline and you're like just really losing speed, and you're like, man, I really hope I don't slow down to the point where I got to worry about getting run down by a car. On the motorcycle, on the same road, with just a difference of, the 250 versus the 150. On the 250 bike, it felt really it could really stably hold my speed, and I could accelerate a little bit, but again, I was pretty tapped out because it's a relatively modest incline on a long about a mile stretch of road, and you got a relatively high speed limit of 45 miles per hour, which gives you a lot of drag. On the bikes, though, too, it's one of those strange things where, tucking in definitely makes a difference, sitting down in the seat a little bit more, rolling the shoulders forward and trying to hunch down a little bit to get that, drag down. One thing I will say that I like about the motorcycle, too, with the practicality, is that having a motorcycle that has a decent range and a large displacement is something that I didn't realize wasn't as common. Because, like, on a motorcycle, most motorcycles will go about maybe 100, 150 miles on like the shorter end on a single tank of gas. So, you can put gas in it and you can go and you can drive and you can say, oh, I'll go do my thing, run my errands for the day, and then, maybe you can do a couple days errands before you got to worry about looking at the gas gauge and thinking, do I have enough gas to go anywhere before, or maybe I should put some in. Whereas with the, even the 125 scooter, I got about 40 miles of range because I had about a eighth of a gallon of fuel on there. And because the fuel tank was built into the bike, there was no way to retroactively increase my fuel storage. So I was kind of locked in at maybe getting 40 miles. Again, I'm probably burning fuel a little bit less efficient than some people, but it's like, let's say you were to get averaged mileage, you'd only really get about 60 on that particular bike for your range. And so it's like, again, is 60 miles, is that a lot? Is that a little bit? I'm not exactly sure because it depends on what somebody's doing, but for me, I know that it felt like every time I took it out, I'd stop by the gas station to top it back up again, and you're putting like $3 of gas in, so you're like, it's kind of it's not exactly expensive, but it's more of like an inconvenience to be stopping at the gas station every day just for a relatively small amount of fuel. And one of the things too is I guess range anxiety is what that was really giving me. But, there's a lot of options there with motorcycles and scooters and mopeds. But it's like, one thing that I've found that I think helped me the most actually was taking a motorcycle safety course to get my license for the motorcycle. Because there's just so many things that they go over where it's like if I had just gone straight, because personally, when I was looking, I started looking at bikes. And when I went to look at the motorcycles, I said to myself, let me see. All right, you got this, you got this. All right, my options for 50 for in my state, what can you drive without the motorcycle license? And I had some okay options, but I was like looking at the roads and I'm listening to what the guy's telling me. And one of the things that he said is like on a 50cc, you really can't take it on roads above 30 miles an hour. So I was like, you know what? Let me go get my motorcycle endorsement, and then I'll come back over here and I'll look at the scooter, right? Or so then I could get a scooter in whatever size that I'd like, but I could at least test drive them all and then see if I felt the power differences. But the motorcycle safety course was done on 250s. And, I went and I did that. And I learned a lot in the course itself because obviously I go over a little bit more things that are in depth than if I had just gone and hadn't really bothered because I could just ride a scooter with my regular license. And it's one of those things where, yeah, I learned a lot. And it's one of the reasons, I guess, why I ended up with a motorcycle. Because when I did say, you know what, the scooter feels small, there was nothing stopping me from getting the bike or the bigger motorcycle because I could just go right over. I already had the endorsement. And, it's one of those things. I definitely would recommend a motorcycle endorsement to anybody that is thinking about it. So, you know what, get that motorcycle endorsement and then, go look at bikes because that'll really help you decide, you know what, maybe getting the motorcycle is easier. And the other thing, too, is with my particular class, all the bikes are manual. I know that I have heard of some, well, technically, the school that I went through said that they did do some automatic stuff. So, like, if you wanted to get an automatic only motorcycle license, that wouldn't be a problem. But one of the things is with the automatic only motorcycle license is you can't really drive the automatic. So, a lot of people take the manual class and they say, oh man, I didn't realize that I could learn how to drive a manual so easily. And I don't know, it's one of those things that you think about and you're like, huh, sounds like fun. Maybe it is fun. It was fun at some point in time. All right. I guess that's all. You heard me run my mouth for today. Thank you very much for listening this far. And I don't know, maybe I'll see you in the next one. Maybe I won't. Who knows? All right. Have fun. Bye.